Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay, there we go. And we're live. So, over here at controversialtalk.com. Hello, how are you all doing? Let's get right into it and destroy the narrative. Germ theory. Enjoy.
Hiya, it's Adrian, and welcome to another episode of We Don't Like Being Lied To. In this one, I want to turn our attention back to germ theory, and while I was looking for an answer to something on BitChute, I came across Taste of Freedom, who's also one of my subscribers, and he had some quotes which refute germ theory, and they were absolutely bang on point. So I'm just going to go ahead now and read those to you. Also, if you just want to go ahead and look at it, I'll put a link in the description to his channel on there, and it's the first comment on there. Medical doctors are working on the germ theory of disease, but the germ theory is already weakening and is due to be thrown aside. Dr. Fraser of Canada and Dr. Powell of California have experimented with billions of germs of all varieties, but they have been unable to produce a single disease by the introduction of germs into human subjects. Dr. Waite tried for years to prove the germ theory, but he could not do so. During the World War, an experiment was conducted at Gallops Island, Massachusetts, in which millions of influenza germs were injected into over 100 men at the government hospital, and no one got the flu. Germs are scavengers. And that's from Principles and Practice of Naturopathy, E.W. Cordingley, ND, ND, AM. We said before that so-called germs are ubiquitous. They are ever-present in many varying forms in both healthy and sick people. These microbes kick in to what modern scientists call pathogens when the media is toxic and conducive to cleanup. When you enter into a healing crisis and your body is throwing off toxins, these germs appear out of your very substance to help eliminate, process, and break down these toxins. Germs have absolutely no causal relationship to disease, but germs do appear to help you clean out because, quite simply, your disease is your cure. Dr. William P. Trebing, Goodbye Germ Theory, page 154. Viruses are simply the excretions of a toxic cell. Viruses are pieces of DNA or RNA with a few other proteins. They butt out from the cell. They happen when the cell is poisoned. They are not the cause of anything. Thomas Cowan, MD, on Rudolf Steiner's Insights. The entire fabric of germ theory of disease rests upon assumptions which not only have not been proved, but are which incapable of proof, and many of them can be proved to be the reverse of truth. The basic one of unproven assumptions, wholly due to Pasteur, is the hypothesis that all the so-called infections and contagious disorders are caused by germs, and that was M.L. Levison, M.D. If the germ theory were true, no one would be alive to believe it. B.J. Palmer, D.C. 3 criteria are, according to the scientific method needed to properly identify a virus. 3 criteria are, according to the scientific method needed to properly identify a virus. It must be isolated from a host cell. As of 2016, this has never been accomplished in humans. It must be photographed and its diameter measured. As of 2016, this has never been accomplished in humans. It must be biochemically characterized. As of 2016, this has never been accomplished in humans. This has never been done with any virus: herpes, hepatitis, H1N1, bird flu, swine flu, influenza, polio, measles, let alone HIV, HPV, SARS, Zika, or Ebola. And that's viruses. How much is that dogma in the window? New Medicine Online.
So, what we just learned is very simple. We have a misconception, and I'm living proof of this. I've been one of those don't care about germ types for my whole life. In fact, I'm the opposite of I don't care about germs. I would be considered reckless and crazy by most people for not caring about germs like they care about germs. My recollection of ever having to be hospitalized for a cold or flu is literally 0 times. 0 times. Infections, colds, they happen all the time. I get them quite often, but less often than any of my peers. For instance, 90% of the time, people get really sick during cold and flu season. If I get sick, it's relatively mild to no symptoms. Barely even know I'm sick, if I'm sick at all. And this research is basically stating that the disease is the result, or rather the natural consequence of cleaning out your body. I think it was Get out of that way. Okay. So they tried to infect people. They couldn't infect anybody. Germs are scavengers. No one got the flu. Germs are scavengers. And it's very important to know that the germs are scavengers. Your disease is your cure. Your disease is your cure. So if you end the disease, you're ending the cure. Does that make sense? When you get a cold or flu, what the body is basically doing is cleaning house, taking all the trash and spitting it out through your nose and mouth. Cough, sneezing, and you know it because you take the tissue away from your face. If you cough into a tissue, there's phlegm in it. That phlegm, that colored material, is all the crap your body's trying to get out of you. You put a mask on, you're fostering more. Now, I wanted to. And then this is also interesting. This was found, this is an English guy installing these, and this was on the 5G installation, the circuit board.
That in towers like that, just don't fucking understand. Look, I don't know the best way to do this, but I've been working erecting 5G masts on towers like the one behind me for the past few weeks while everybody else has been in lockdown. And we don't crack open these kits because we're explicitly asked not to. But well, perhaps the best thing is for me to show you. It's best if I just show you. Look, there's a piece of fucking 5G kit and it says COV-19 on it. I don't really know of any products produced by any company that produces circuitry like this that has the brand
COV-19.
name COV.19, but that's what it says on the fucking circuit board. Not a fucking conspiracy theory.
Sorry about the language. This is over at rents.com. But with this in mind, combined with the information just provided, that the body needs to clean itself out, then what they can do is they have these 5G towers, 4G towers, Wi-Fi, radar, Bluetooth, AM, FM radio, wireless charging, etc., blah, blah, blah. And essentially, they use that technology to cause DNA damage. So they know how it works. DNA damage happens. So what happens when your body has a lot of junk DNA floating around? What do you think your body's going to do? It's going to activate a cleaning process to get those things out. And it's going to do it either from cough, sneeze, diarrhea. Kind of gross, but that's how it works. And if you don't stop the sickness, the body gets the stuff out. So if you prevent the body from coughing, and the body goes through the cycle to clean itself out and doesn't cough, what do you think is going to happen next time you get sick? You're going to get sicker. But you're not going to readily attribute your worst sickness to avoiding the full spectrum of the healing process the original sickness provided, and you skipped it. And it sounds super complicated, but really it boils down to if you want to treat your body, you treat your body, and the most integral part of your body is the immune system. The Champ's method is if you have a disease in a patient, first thing you do is see if there is a cause within the immune system. If there is, you heal the immune system. And for instance, cancer, you go in, they treat the cancer, they get rid of the tumor. They are not trying to fix the immune system. So the immune system that caused the cancer is still broken. So they may have cured the cancer, but they did so in a way that would almost guarantee a chance of remission, if not guarantee remission and more treatments. This is why Pasteur won over Bechamp, because Bechamp was a shady liar not Bechamp, Pasteur was a shady liar and a thief. And Antoine Bechamp was the guy, and sorry if I keep confusing them, I don't know why I do that. Antoine Bechamp was a devout Christian who really loved science and had much more medical accreditation to his name than Pasteur did, and it covers it here. Antoine Bechamp, he was appointed at French University, Doctor of Science, Doctor of Medicine, Professor of Medical Chemistry, Pharmacy at Montpellier, Professor of Physics and Toxicology at Strasbourg. The list goes on and on. Now, that's him. His counterpart, Pasteur, on the other hand, not so good. And his whole mission was to make profit and fame and fortune, not to cure people. And of course, that aligned with the politics of the day, and thus we got germ theory in the modern incarnation. Now, another scary thing is once you understand this, you understand why this is true. John Hopkins suggests medical errors are third leading cause of death in the U.S. So, heart disease and cancer, which I just covered here, if we treat the immune system, we could cure cancer and prevent remission instead of just curing the cancer because we're treating it as a disease, not a symptom. John Hopkins points out that heart disease and cancer are the first two causes of death, and medical malpractice is the third, and respiratory infections are the fourth. So, of all of the four things that kill the most Americans, three of them are directly related to a misunderstanding of how bacteria, viruses, microsomas, and the human immune system works. So essentially, our doctors are killing us. And John Hopkins is the only one who I've seen talk about this. And I have information on my site as well. I think it was one of the other articles, but they go over death certificates. I think it was this one. And they go over the death certificates and how they're being misreported too on death certificates and making guesses on those death certificates. Yep, right here. And they're playing God to try to say who died from what, and they don't really know. So it's important to know how disease works in order to alleviate the fear of it. Disease is there to cure you. Disease is a symptom of a process that is designed to cure your body of what ails you. So if you arrest the disease, you potentially are making it far worse down the line in the future, where you might actually be sentencing yourself to death. And the immune system works by immunity. Everybody knows that healthy people are not supposed to wear masks. And, oh, I got to mention this. The vaccine at Pittsburgh School of Medicine, they admit in this article that the drug called a microneedle array to increase potency to deliver the drug, and they're talking about a potential vaccine, and it produces antibodies, but they come right out and they tell you it is a drug and drugs require informed consent. They are playing games here because it's a drug, but they call it something else, a bio something. And that's how they get away with not informing you of the side effects like every other commercial does. And they say it's just like a Band-Aid and the needles because Band-Aids have needles. Really? Do I really have two of these open? I don't need two of these. And then the face mask article is great because if you go down here, first off, you shouldn't be wearing medical ones. You should be wearing the cloth ones. But however, they don't provide the same protection against small, leaving you still at risk for infection. And do not completely protect against infection, according to the Centers for Disease Control, to the disposable surgical face masks. It's hilarious. Face masks do not provide complete protection. While wearing one, it's important to continue practice social distancing. They're admitting they do not work. They never did. They never did. So you have the scientific community going off completely wrong information about Louis Pasteur when they should be listening to Antoine Béchamp, who stated that pleomorphism is the rule of the day, which is not monomorphism, meaning that the rods don't stay rods, the circles don't stay circles, and the blobs don't stay blobs. They pleomorphisize and other things. The microsomas are the mini ferments, which I think are called exosomes nowadays. Let's see, our microzo. Um, so exosomes, it's a new study, but those are basically viruses that are transmitting information, as far as I can tell. But the information is out here. You don't have to take my word for it. You can do research on all of this yourself. And I really encourage people to go over and watch that whole video about the germ theory because it is potent. It really does show how they are lying to us. And if you're a Christian, do word studies. And the wrath of the Lord was kindled against the people, and the Lord smote the people with a very great plague. In the atonement of children of Israel, there was no plague among the children when the children of Israel came nigh unto the sanctuary. The priest pronounced the house clean because the plague is healed. And behold, the plague has not spread in the house after the house was plastered, not spread in the garment. So it's garments, houses, rocks. So sickness can affect anything, not just humans. Every stone of weight of the town, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of hail, and the plague thereof was exceedingly great. So who sent these plagues? It was God. Because God, he uses them as warnings, he uses them as uh, tests and judgments. So he'll warn people away from sin. He'll test people to see if they really have faith in him, and he'll ultimately judge people if they do not turn from their wicked ways and repent like Nineveh did. Even though Joshua was kind of upset that they got spared, but hey, Joshua, in the end, you're still part of the story. And as you can see, I read the comments. So, positive. Oh, I bet the number would double. I would put it at number 1. Oh, from correctly prescribed drugs and procedures. So the methodology of the science is obviously broken, and this is something that this article brings to light. If you try to search this on your own, I guarantee people are going to attack it, and anybody who believes this is going to be attacked. You're going to be a quack, an idiot. You don't know science. You don't understand. They will lie to your face about the truth because they don't want you to know the truth. And the truth is, you have more control over whether you live or die than you think you do. If you have a broken bone and you know how to set the bone and you can deal with the pain, it's honestly better to do that yourself. And the knowledge is not hard to find out. So I invite everybody to do what I just did and cruise around the internet and learn. There's no reason not to. There's plenty of information out here that you can learn. And I really recommend this site, which is my site, by the way, and going and reading all the stuff about COVID. And don't get me wrong, I'm giving you all the information. I'm a little different from a lot of these places because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. You need to know the official story to be able to debunk the official story. So you're going to get official information from me just like the mainstream media. That's not because I endorse it or think it's true. It's because in order to argue against people who do believe it, you have to know what they're talking about. So you can't argue about monomorphism being not true if you don't even know what it is. Monomorphism is the idea that cells, bacteria and viruses and germs, they are what they are and they don't change. Pleomorphism is bacteria and viruses change from microsomas, which are the basis for all the above, the virus and bacteria, and will change into those things as a mechanism for cleaning out the body and create colds and flus and the quote unquote viruses in your body to help do the job of cleaning out. And the other thing I wanted to point out before I go, which is really important, is humidity effects on viruses. Oh, I misspelled viruses. Don't hate. I wanted the WebMD article. Humidity increase risk. Oh wait. Uh, in inflammation holds. Okay. I really wanted a very specific article because it was by WebMD. And there we go. Humidity in the cold season. So, Most common cold viruses survive better when the humidity is low. Cold weather may make the lining of your nose drier and more vulnerable to infection by virus. Okay, we already know that viruses don't actually infect people, they come to already sick people. But we do also know that there has to be a trigger to let the body know it's time to clean house. My guess is, since winters are usually dry, that, and this is a guess, this isn't science, this is me guessing, that the low humidity might be the environmental trigger to let your body know it is winter and you're going to spend more time not outside planting, harvesting, doing things that God made you to do in the summer. So that dry air triggers your body to do the cold, do the flu, and clean yourself out. That's my theory. And I believe, and that's not actually a theory, it's more of a fact, because the thing about Champ, if you do a lot of research, is he was a big proponent of environmental. He said the environment triggers responses. Like if you get damaged by the environment, you could get a cold. If you get starvation, can cause colds. Like these things are trying to make up for problems in your body. There is something wrong. And some people have even confused starvation with disease in history. So the very history of disease itself is within the realm of what can be questioned. But my guess, since we know the official story says that viruses survive better to infect people during the winter because of the low humidity, and the masks repel moisture. Oh, moisture. Oh, well, it doesn't have any at the moment. But most masks, the good ones at least, are designed to repel moisture. So what happens if you have a well-sealed mask over your face? You're reducing the humidity. Everybody ignores this. So it's basically, according to the official story, wearing a mask will increase your risk of infection because it's drying out your nose and lungs. And on top of that, improper mask usage. This is all official information. I don't believe this. And it'll cause infection. Increase coronavirus risk when worn incorrectly. Dangerous to your health. Improper use can cause infections. Improper cause infections. Surgeon General. Okay, look, I think that's pretty definitive. And they're going to admit this. Let's see. Face mask can increase. Universal mask on COVID-19 era can increase the risk. Clustered trial plasma compared with. Uh, oh, look at this. So we just found a random study. I wasn't even trying to find it. The aim of the study is to compare efficacy of cloth masks to medical masks, studying 14 secondary level hospitals in Ho Nam, Vietnam. Over 1,607 hospitals. Clinical respiratory influenza, laboratory confirmed respiratory virus infection. The rates of infection outcomes were highest in cloth mask arm, with the rate of ILI statistics significantly higher in the cloth mask arm. Relative risk 13, 95% CI, 1.69 to 100.07 compared with medical mask arm. Cloth masks also significantly higher rates of ILI compared with control arm. And it seems caution against the use of cloth masks, reporting finding from occupation health and safety, moisture retention, which could be considered a viral transport medium or a bacteria factory. And as discussed before with the humidity, it's making it more and more ripe for infection. They're trying to make you sick by wearing those things. And poor filtration, increased risks of infection, and further research is needed. So I think we can safely say that dry air plus wearing a mask for long periods of time, plus the understanding of the champ over past year, would lead the reasonable mind to look at masks and say, wait a minute, they're kind of dumb. Mask tests. Or just test. Let's see.
This is my son, Ever. Ever's 11 years old. Drowsiness or poor air. All right, here we go. Right now, we're at 8:48. So I'm going to go ahead and just insert this right like as he did, right underneath, and try and keep it. That feels pretty tight right there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you can, just breathe naturally. Let's just see what happens. Okay. All right, so we're at 1,367. We've already just passed 2. So now we're in the place where he could be having headaches. He can be, we're at 3,786. Look at this. We've just passed 5,000. Now we're in the toxic level. Right now we could be doing this 7,000 inside this mask of the CO2. 8,000 parts per million.
This is another test. So this is the 4th or 5th test I've seen now. And the debunkers always point out that, well, you're not breathing all of that in. You're breathing a portion of that toxic air. And so if it's jumping up above 5,000 and it evens out about 1,000 to 2,000 parts per million, you're still getting less oxygen than you normally should. It defeats the purpose of the counter argument when they can't even admit that the levels within the mask are toxic. They can't even accept that premise. To them, it is non-negotiable. Masks are safe and they work, and you do not question the masks. And it's about compliance. Sorry if my spelling's atrocious. I don't think it's on here. But there was a video, I wish I had it cleaned up, where a guy walked into Walmart with a mask that was made for dirt biking, so you don't get stuff hitting your face. Oh, that's so rude. Like, this is not how we make friends, people. Yes, I believe that people are kind of moronic when they wear them in their cars, but we should be more tactful when we... we shouldn't be dividing each other by this. We should simply be doing what I'm doing, trying to get the information out, educate our peers. But I'm tired of getting cussed out by nurses who think I'm crazy. They can think what they want. I don't care. So please share this information. And if you're interested, there is mass exemptions. And here we go, exemptions. And this is under 6B of the Pennsylvania Mask Order. Medical condition. This is anybody and everybody. I give you permission. I'm not a doctor, but I give everybody permission to use the medical condition exemption because I am literally medically exempt and I have no qualms with you using it because as far as I'm concerned, as mentioned before with the evidence and Tom Bajamp, you will develop respiratory problems, mental health issues, or a disability if you continue to wear the mask. So please don't wear them. And you cannot remove them without assistance because you have to touch it to remove it. And if your kids are under 12, add 10 to that number. Don't make them wear them ever. And if you are in any type of industry where you might be communicating with customers and you can't ask every customer if they're deaf or hard of hearing, you shouldn't wear a mask. And furthermore, a lot of countries like Australia, only healthy people should wear masks. CDC, only healthy, or only sick people, sorry. Okay, set example. Healthy people should wear masks only when taking care of somebody with the contagion. And CD says people shouldn't wear masks. Now they shouldn't. Disagrees. And see how you have to ask very specific questions. Recommend says no need for healthy people to wear a mask. So it's very confusing, and they want it to be. The simple truth is we all know the truth that masks are a last resort to prevent serious injury. I'm not searching this, I'm saying it because I have used them, good ones, very good ones. And the only time I've ever used them and felt I had to is when I worked with tear gas and when I was using acid to clean antique brickwork. And in both scenarios, the maximum amount of time in the tear gas factory was 2 hours because you broke every 2 hours and went outside. and the maximum time for the brickwork was 30 minutes. Never, ever should you wear something over your face for 8 hours every day for 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week. That is risking injury. You need to stop doing that. And I'm not telling you per se what to do. I am inviting you to do what's best for your body. And if, like I stated before, the disease is the cure, and if we treat the disease like a disease and not a symptom of your immune system being sick, then we are effectively not treating anything. We are alleviating symptoms. We are problem mitigation experts, not medical healthcare professionals. And that's another thing. We're not allowed to say we're healthcare professionals, even if we love healthcare and we want to learn everything about it. You can't say that. So I'm not specifically a healthcare professional, but I do own a microscope, a good one with a 2500 zoom and two stethoscopes. So, I mean, at least I got that. That's probably more than most doctors and nurses on CNN got. I bet you if I gave them a microscope and asked them how to use it, they probably wouldn't even know. I'd ask them to put the oil one on, and then they'd go and try to use it without oil. It's just things like that. I know science. I love science. I was AP and honors science my entire life. Chemistry, biology, biochemistry. I love science. I am a Bechamp type. I just love science. I'm kind of a super nerd. I love, or geek, or whatever you call them today. And it's the love of truth and science and of God and of the Ten Commandments, not lying, that I make videos like this to tell people this is the truth. Do what you want with it, but this is the truth. And please share the truth so that people can not be scared anymore. God bless, Godspeed, and have a great day.